everyone. Welcome to a JNR Professional Development Series. My name is Hillary Marusak. I'm the Social Media Director for Journal of Neuroscience Research, and I'm joined with our interns today, who I actually get the opportunity to interview about what it's like to become a postdoc, how to find a postdoctoral position, and things like that. So, Nikki, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I actually just started my postdoc at the University of Nebraska Medical Center with Dr. Jennifer Blackbird. My graduate studies were in PTSD and cannabinoids with Dr. Rabenak at Wayne State University, but now I'm sort of switching a little bit, and I'm going to look at early abstinence and alcohol use disorder, but still sort of using fMRI and whatnot. So,
Perfect. Thanks for joining us, Connor.
Thank you. I'm Connor Haggerty. I'm currently a postdoc at the University of Chicago with Harriet DeWitt. Before this, I did a postdoc with Liam Mayo at Linköping University in Sweden, and my PhD was in Liverpool. So I've been a bit all over the place.
And you're joining us from abroad currently, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Salahuddin.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Salahuddin Mohammed. I'm an assistant professor of pharmacology at Notre Dame of Maryland University. I have recently transitioned here. Before my present position, I was working as a postdoc associate in the Department of Psychiatry at the Yale University School of Medicine under the supervision of Dr. Matthew Girgenti and Dr. Alicia Chi. Prior to my postdoc, I was completing my graduate studies at the University of Mississippi, and my research project emphasized on understanding the neuroendocrine underpinnings of HIV and its associated neurological disorder. And I come with a different experience where I got a teaching fellowship in one of the university in Ethiopia, where I was teaching pharmacy students and nurses and midwives as well before starting my PhD program. And prior to that, I got my master's in pharmacology from University of Aston at Birmingham, United Kingdom, and my bachelor in pharmacy was from India. Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. So we've got quite the range of experience and also different career pathways. And we've got Nikki, who just started a postdoc, and then Salahuddin, who just transitioned into a faculty position, which congratulations. So I would like to start with, when do you start looking for a postdoc? I'm going to start with Nikki.
my advice is just ASAP. Just start thinking about it if that's what you want to do. I actually started contacting people about a year before I knew I was going to defend, just sort of putting out feelers to either people that I knew that just say, hey, I'm looking to get a postdoc doing this. Do you know anybody or do you need anybody? But then also responding to postdoc ads. So using other websites. I think ACNP has a job listing website, and that's where I found most of the ones that I used to contact people.
How about you, Connor?
So I didn't do any of that. I kind of got to the end of my PhD and I was just so happy that it was finished with, and didn't really think about what was happening next. And then I couldn't find postdocs. In the UK, they're incredibly competitive, and you're expected to have a lot more publications and things than you're likely to have by the end of your PhD, especially in the UK. So I just found it very difficult to find any. So I ended up actually working as an assistant professor for 2 years at the university I did my PhD at. That was just purely teaching. So I got a lot of teaching experience for 2 years. I ran a module. I dealt with extensions. I dealt with ethics. I did all these things. So I learned a lot of stuff that I'd need to do later in life. But then I realized I wasn't doing any research. So then I started to look for research. I realized I was relatively young. I didn't have to stay in the UK like I thought I would. So then I started looking further afield, and that's when Leah's job popped up on Twitter. And yeah, the rest was history. I think I applied for about 3. I visited Hamburg, then got the job with Leah pretty much straight away after that.
Awesome. Thank you. And Salahuddin, when did you first start looking?
Thanks, Hillary. it's basically something very nostalgic for me when I actually started thinking about a postdoc. That's something which was not in my mind until I end coming to the third year of my PhD. I completed my PhD in 4 years, I should say that. So in my third year, basically that's the last year of your PhD. That's when you are going to understand that there is this is where you want to pursue or you want to see your career going. And I was mostly research oriented. I really like thinking about how these experiments run, how to troubleshoot, and most importantly, how to reach out to people, professional development, and things like that. So that's kind of like was in my brain, and I was kind of like looking at positions, and I applied to a lot of them at University of Alabama, Yale University. There are a couple of advices which my mentors at that juncture of my search really helped me. Two things through postdoc. One is to work in a big university. So the name sells in the market, like Yale, Stanford, Harvard, and any of those Columbia, Duke. Those names really going to help you to get the next step from their postdoc. Or the other one would be to work under a big shot. It can be anyone who is an NIH director or an NIDA director versus working for someone who just started the lab. So I actually got the best of both the worlds where I got my PhD under a supervisor who just started his lab. So we built the lab from scratch. So I have that on training. But then when I started looking into my postdoc, that's where I went to a very big university, kind of like the state of art, to understand what I can kind of learn from there. So it's kind of like both the way. So two piece of advice: big universities or big shots. Those things really will help you to carve yourself to be for the next career transition. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so I want to get more into like the actual process of how to find a postdoc. And based on what you all already mentioned, you have, again, different kinds of ways of going about this. Like Nikki was mentioning job postings and responding to those, and also some networking. And Connor, you saw something on Twitter, and Salahuddin, you took the approach of like that name recognition where it's a renowned university or a researcher, and that will give you a leg up. So what am I missing? Like, how do folks look for postdoc positions? Connor, do you want to start this time?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of different ways, and like I said, it's very different situations whether you're in the UK or anywhere else apparently. But in the UK, you have very specific job offers that are posted. There's a lot of research funding, but it is very tied in with certain people or certain projects that they already have in mind. And it seemed to me that, like, looking further afield, it was much easier to then just approach the person that you wanted to work with. So I approached Leah because I knew she had a job coming up, and that kind of worked out well in my favor. And then when Leah was looking for other jobs and was deciding to leave Linköping, I then started looking elsewhere, and she said, just message the person you want to work with, just message them and it will be great. And there's this researcher that I love at UCL, I'm not going to name drop, but I messaged her and she's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's apply for a grant together. And just a few days before that, I'd spoken to Harriet and she wanted an EEG user. And so then I suddenly had these two jobs, and then I had a bereavement in the family. So it was just like, I was just like, wait, I just need to do something now that's going to really help, like boost my career. And Harriet seemed to be like the way to do that if I wanted to work in pharmacology. So yeah, it's all a matter of who you know and who can help find your position. My newer positions, which I am not deciding on fully yet, but that was all through meeting people and discussing with them what they want to do or what they are planning to do in the future. Yeah, so I have a few offers for later as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And I want to come back to that, like how to decide where to go if you do get multiple offers, for example. But back to the like actual process of finding a postdoc, Salahuddin, what do you suggest?
So, what I would suggest for a younger myself, if I would want to go back and start looking at, is cold emails. That's how what it works. And one of the things which really helped me to kind of explore was NIH Reporter. I would actually go to NIH Reporter to see the research areas which really excite me. So I was really interested in PTSD. I was interested in cannabinoids and opioids. So I just put those keywords and I get the list of the PIs who has active funding, and they're probably potentially looking for postdocs and PhD students joining their labs. So just emailing them and kind of like the university, there's the quick background about what actually they have as a research project for which has won them a grant, and we can carve out a small project for yourself. So that's it. And one other thing which I did differently was reaching out to my peers who just graduated and they've been to Emory and Vanderbilt, and I reached out to them and they shared some templates like cover letters, research interest statements, and probably CV, which is kind of like an academic research CV compared to an industrial CV. So those things kind of like gave me the kickstart to kind of start building on those templates and then reaching out to supervisors. And I should say, like, I have emailed at least 20 PIs, and at least 10 of them got back to me saying that, okay, they don't have funding presently. They already has taken people. We couldn't wait for so long, at least 6 months from here to take you. So we want someone to join next month and things like that. But it's definitely going to be something which can help you through those resources out there. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. And especially like what Nikki said, starting early, if you get your name out there and then it's in their mind, like if funding comes through, then they can come back to you and say, okay, now I've got some funding, or they can work on getting that funding for you. So that's very helpful. Nikki, anything else to add?
I pretty much did a combination of what we've already talked about, actually got my current postdoc because I contacted Jenny on Twitter. She had a posting and I was like, she knew me because I had met her in the past. So a little combination of like networking, Twitter. I did look at NIH Reporter, but just don't be afraid to talk to people at conferences, because the reason why my postdoc mentor knew me is because I had approached her at a conference 3 years ago, a quick chit chat, and she remembered me. And I think that honestly really helped.